My name is Emily Carter, and until last summer, I believed I understood my place in my family. I was the reliable one, the quiet one. The one who showed up early, stayed late, and never complained. I didn't realize how completely replaceable I was until I asked one question at a dinner table filled with smiling faces. It happened on a Saturday evening in June, during my parents' 35th wedding anniversary celebration. My mother insisted on hosting it at their house in Westchester County, New York, the kind of suburb where the lawns are always trimmed and neighbors compete politely over whose hydrangeas bloom first. 30 people filled the house that night. Family friends, church acquaintances, my older brother and his wife, my cousins, even a few co-workers from my father's consulting firm. I arrived early as usual, at 4:30, while everyone else showed up closer to 6. I let myself in through the side door, balancing 2 grocery bags against my hip. Oh. My mom had texted me that morning, "Can you grab ice, sparkling water, and lemons?" No, please, no, thank you. Just expectation. Inside, the house buzzed with activity. My mother, Linda, was directing traffic from the kitchen, her hair already perfectly set despite the heat. My father, Robert, hovered near the dining room inspecting table settings like a general before battle. "Emily," my mom said without looking up. "You're late. It was 4:30. I just parked," I said, setting the bags down. "Good. Start slicing lemons. And can you iron the table runner?" "I don't like the crease down the middle." I nodded. I always nodded. I was 31 years old, college-educated, financially independent, and somehow still the unpaid assistant in my parents' household. By 6 o'clock, the guests arrived. Dresses, laughter, bottles of wine wrapped in tissue paper. Compliments floated through the air. "Your home is beautiful, Linda." 35 years. What an accomplishment. You two are such an inspiration. I moved through the room refilling drinks, collecting empty glasses, smiling politely when someone asked who I was. "Oh, I'm Emily," I'd say. "And you're," they'd ask, "their daughter." There was always a pause after that, a blink, as if they were trying to remember why they didn't already know me. My brother Jason arrived last as usual, his wife Lauren on his arm. Lauren wore a cream-coloured dress that probably cost more than my monthly rent. Jason kissed my mom on the cheek, clapped my dad on the back, and handed over a gift bag with a loud logo on it. They were greeted like royalty. Lauren barely glanced at me. "Emily," she said, "can you take my purse?" "I don't want to leave it on the floor." I took it. Dinner was served at 7:30. My mother insisted everyone sit exactly where she'd assigned them. Jason and Lauren got the seats closest to my parents. I was placed at the far end, next to an elderly couple I barely knew. Halfway through dinner, someone asked about vacations. "Oh, we're actually planning something special," my mother said, her voice brightening. She looked at my father, who nodded. Robert stood, raising his glass. "We wanted to wait until tonight to announce this," he said. "But to celebrate 35 years of marriage, Linda and I are taking the family to Italy next month." Applause erupted. Lauren, "God. Italy? Oh my God." Jason grinned. "That's incredible. I felt my chest warm. Italy. I'd never been out of the country." I imagine cobblestone streets, coffee in the mornings, maybe, just maybe, being treated like a daughter instead of staff. I smiled, and then I asked the question, "When are we leaving?" I said. The room went quiet, not completely silent, just enough for discomfort to settle in. My father's smile faltered. My mother's eyes flicked to him. "What do you mean?" she asked. "Well," I said, still smiling, unaware I was stepping into a trap. "I just need to check my work schedule." "Emily," she said finally, her voice lower now, controlled. "What lawyer? What are you talking about?" "I think you know," I replied. "You've known for years. You just didn't think I'd ever bring it up." My father's voice cut in sharp and irritated. "This is not the time for this. This is not the time for this. We're leaving in 4 days." "That's exactly why it's the time," I said. "You asked me to take care of everything while you're gone. I realized we should be clear about what belongs to whom." You're being ridiculous. My mother snapped. We raised you, and I paid for the condo, I said calmly. Or both things can be true. There it was, the inhale on the other end of the line, the shift, the moment when control started slipping. We're holding this over our heads, my father said. After everything we've done for you, I almost laughed, but I didn't. I'd learned that laughter would be used against me later, reframed as disrespect. And no, I said, I'm acknowledging reality, something we've avoided for a long time. My mother jumped back in. Emily, you're tired. You're emotional. You didn't mean what you said at dinner. This isn't like you. That line hit harder than anything else she could have said. This isn't like you, meaning this version of me wasn't convenient. This is exactly like me, I replied. You just never noticed because I never spoke. Silence again, this time heavier. We'll talk when we get back, my father said. I know, I said. We'll talk before you leave, or the process continues. My mother gasped softly. A process? The legal one, I said. The one that exists whether we talk or not. I hung up before they could respond. I sat there for a long time afterward, phone face down on the table, heart pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat. I wasn't shaking anymore. That surprised me. I'd imagined standing up to them would feel terrifying. Instead, it felt solid, like placing both feet on the ground after years of balancing on one. That afternoon, Jason showed up at my apartment. He didn't knock. He rang the bell twice hard, the way he always did when he was annoyed. I opened the door and didn't invite him in. What the hell are you doing? He demanded. I crossed my arms. Hello to you too? This condo thing, he said. Mom is freaking out. Is she? I asked. He snapped. Yes, snapped. Because you blindsided her. I studied my brother's face. The familiar frustration, the entitlement that had always been there, just hidden under humour and charm. Did I? I said. Or did she just assume I'd never stop saying yes? He ran a hand through his hair. Why now? I thought about the dinner table. The question is the way 30 people watched me shrink. Because I finally asked something out loud, I said. And the answer told me everything. You're blowing this out of proportion, he said. It was just a trip. It was never about the trip, he scoffed. Or you're acting like a victim. I opened my laptop and turned it toward him. The screenshots, my mother's email, his wife's text, the casual cruelty preserved in black and white. He went quiet. That wasn't meant like that, he said weakly. It was meant exactly like that, I replied. You just never thought I'd see it. He swallowed. So what, you're going to sell the condo, evict them? I'm going to stop pretending this is normal, I said. Whatever happens after that is a consequence, not a punishment. He looked at me then, really looked at me for the first time in years. You're serious, he said. Yes, yes. He exhaled slowly. This is going to tear the family apart. I met his gaze. It already did. I just stopped holding it together by myself. He left without another word. That night, my aunt I heard. She said gently, Of course you did. I'm proud of you. I closed my eyes. Those words still felt foreign, like a language I was learning as an adult. The next morning, my parents came over. Together. That alone told me they were scared. My mother walked in like she owned the place, her posture rigid, her smile brittle. My father stayed near the door, arms crossed. We need to clear this up, my mother said immediately. This misunderstanding. I gestured toward the couch. Sit, she hesitated, then sat. You've always been sensitive, she continued. We didn't realize the dinner announcement would upset you so much. You didn't think about me at all, I said. That's different. My father's side, Emily families make compromises. Yes, I said. But one person shouldn't be the compromise every time. My mother's eyes hardened. So what do you want? The question hung there. For once, they were asking instead of assuming. My name respected, I said. And my time, my ownership, my place in this family, or the freedom to step out of it without being punished. That's dramatic, she said. No, I replied. It's honest. My father rubbed his temples. If we refinance the condo eventually, would that satisfy you? Eventually. The word that had kept me waiting my entire life. No, I said. I'm not negotiating my adulthood anymore. My mother stood abruptly. So you're choosing money over family? I stood too. No, I said. I'm choosing myself over being invisible. They left without resolution. They still went on the trip, but something had changed. The house was quieter. The calls stopped. The guilt trip softened into cautious messages. And for the first time, the silence didn't feel like punishment. It felt like peace, like peace. By the time I asked that question, the house was already too quiet. It was a Sunday evening in early fall, the kind where the air smells like dry leaves and old memories. We were all gathered in my parents' home in Columbus, Ohio, the same house where I'd grown up, scraped my knees on the driveway, and learned what family was supposed to mean. My name is Daniel Harris. I'm the oldest son. Or at least I used to be treated like one. My parents, Robert and Linda Harris, sat across from me in the living room. My younger sister Emily was scrolling on her phone, pretending not to listen. My brother Mark leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed, already defensive before anything had even been said. His wife Jessica sat beside him, her smile tight and rehearsed. We were there to talk about my father's health, or at least that's what I thought. Dad had recently been diagnosed with early-stage Parkinson's. Nothing immediate, but serious enough to force uncomfortable conversations, care plans, finances, the future. I had flown in from Seattle, taken time off work, booked hotels. No one else had. That was the first thing that stung. We talked around the issue for almost an hour. Weather, traffic, Emily's new job, Mark's kids' soccer games, Jessica's latest home renovation project. Everything except what mattered. Finally, I asked the question. It wasn't loud. It wasn't aggressive. It was simple. So, what's the plan if Dad needs help? The room changed instantly. Emily froze mid-scroll. Mark's jaw tightened. Jessica's eyes flicked toward Mark before settling back on me. Mom looked down at her hands. No one answered. I waited. Seconds stretched. Then Mark laughed, a short, humorless sound. Why are you asking like that? He said. I frowned. Like what? Like it's our responsibility, he replied. The words hit harder than I expected. I said slowly, he's our dad. Jessica sighed loudly, crossing her arms. Daniel, you moved away. You made your choices. That was the second sting. I didn't move away from my family, I said. I moved for work. I still show up. Mark scoffed. Flying in once a year doesn't make you a hero. That was the third. Mom finally looked up. Her voice was soft. Let's not fight. Let's not fight, eh? But it was already too late. I'm asking how we're going to take care of Dad. Emily put her phone down at last. He can't, she said quickly. I barely make rent. I have kids, Mark added. A mortgage, college funds. Queuing. You don't. Jessica leaned forward. And let's be honest, Dad always favoured you. Maybe this is your turn. The house stays, I said. Mom lives here. Mark frowned. That's not what we discussed. You discussed, I corrected him. I wasn't invited. Emily finally spoke, her voice thin. You're acting like you own everything. I met her eyes and I'm acting like someone who showed up. They didn't like that answer. The lawyer meeting happened 2 weeks later. Dad insisted on being there even though it exhausted him. He wanted to look them in the eye. The lawyer read everything calmly. Assets, accounts, decisions, medical authority. Mark's face drained of colour. Emily started crying halfway through. Not quiet crying, but loud, angry, sobbing. Jessica interrupted. This can't be right. The lawyer adjusted his glasses. It is. When it was over, Dad spoke. I loved all of you, he said slowly. But love isn't the same as trust. No one argued. They couldn't. After that day, my family stopped pretending we were a family. Holidays passed without invitations. Birthdays came and went. I got married quietly the following year. None of them were there. Dad passed away on a cold January morning, holding my hand. His last words were simple. Thank you for asking the questions no one else would. At the funeral, Mark stood in the back. Emily left early. Jessica never showed. I didn't feel anger anymore, just clarity. Because sometimes one question doesn't break a family. It reveals it, and once exposed, there's no going back.